So there's gonna be a football match tonight, right here in the home stadium of Recife, where I'm live currently, and yeah, the home team is quite shit to be honest. Like they are not really successful, but the energy is always nice. So I'm looking forward to that one. And yeah, let me quickly put this one here. Cool. So basically, I wanted to hop on. It's been a while. Like I have no plan. This is just me free rambling basically. But I wanted to give like a quick update in general and how things have been going for the past year or so. Because yeah, quite a few I'm actually in the DMs with and have been asking if I'm going to come back and do content again or create again. And I I don't know in what form or shape I will be on the gram again. I do miss creating content on a regular basis, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, there has been so much going on over the last 12 months. Like, as some of you might know, I became a dad, I moved to Brazil, I took on a job that was quite a big opportunity for me that also came kind of like out of the blue and was kind of a good timing as well, since I again became a dad, and that brings a different kind of responsibility. And that job offer was kind of like, okay, it makes sense right now to do that. So that is why things got very quiet essentially on here. And in general, I just didn't have any, energy or creative mind to yeah to be doing something like this. Like this is a full-time job, and I think anyone who does that for a living or actually pursues it for more than just like a hobby, that that person knows it's not a it's not something you can just like do for a few days and then hope that it works out. Like you, in best case scenario, you do this forever. You build your brand, your personal brand, whatever you want to call it, and then around that you create your businesses and become this. Uh, I mean, yeah, there's so many titles and descriptions nowadays, but generally speaking, you're just gonna be like this person that makes money on the internet. And builds a community along with that, with a certain skill and all that. So I kind of like, with me having all those moments where uh, things in my life quite like changed quite dramatically, I also fell into a situation of what we call a identity crisis. Or I mean, it sounds very dramatic, and it's not actually that dramatic, but it's more like, what are the next 5 to 10 years like gonna look like for me? Like, how are they, um, how are they determining what might be in 10 years with a family, and where do I need to actually focus my time? So yeah, that was very much in between, like figuring out everything else. I mean, we literally, you know, we found out that we pregnant like 12 months ago, more or less, like a bit more, 13 months ago, and then there, like, things moved very quickly. We had to make decisions, and like, okay, well, best case scenario would be for us to figure out where we're gonna live together. So I made that call to come to Brazil, because it just makes much more sense from a lot of perspectives. And then that absorbed a lot of time to also kind of like, yeah, understand what that means for me personally, but also, it's a new culture. I need to learn a new language, which I'm getting better and better. And yeah, everything is just kind of like upside down for a second, and then you kind of like have this identity crisis with yourself. So I think that was really something I came back and forth in between a very intense job. Again, this is a job that I took on. It's in the biotech space that I was able to kind of like bring in my social media marketing content expertise and realize that this is actually a bigger thing, and actually also needs a lot more work to to bring this into a position where it has that brand identity, and it has that kind of like content strategy in place, that things are just really starting to have a shape. And yeah, that was that was very intense. We launched like it's a startup, but anyone who has maybe worked in a startup environment, or you know something similar, knows that that can be very intense. And yeah, it challenged me greatly, I would say. Like, I pushed myself, to places where I was never kind of like thinking I could go mentally, and also kind of like creatively. And then with the entire like AI space also starting to accelerate, that really made things very interesting for me. Not because like, you know, I was very, I mean, I was very impressed with AI and what it now was able to do, basically. But I was not so much impressed in terms of like, for me personally, and what that means for my own kind of like journey, but more like how that will shape or reshape the entire industry as we know it, as creators, as business owners, founders, as people who are out there with a product, with a service, with something that they want to basically sell on the market. That's like that, like like that whole universe of many things you can do in your life now has a new friend, which is called AI, and it brings on so many possibilities, so many opportunities, and so much productivity as well. And also from the creative perspective, I mean, many of you probably know what's out there already, with all those tools, and like generative AI really took over the market. And I think that's where also many started to kind of like start losing their own sense of, what am I going to do in the next 5 to 10 years? Like, there is going to be a huge amount of change in different industries. Like, I would say all of them, but definitely in a few more like more quick than others, and more rapidly, and more like dramatic change. And that is scary for quite a few people, right? I mean, that is really like, okay, fuck, what is going to happen from here? Like, is this something that actually can have a place in my life, or is this something that is just going to be completely destroying my career, or destroying my life, in a sense of not knowing what I should do with my life? And this is also what I was, facing, basically. But then I realized, thankfully, quite quickly, that this is not the end. It's just an extension of, how we are going to live, and how society will do things, and how much it will change industries. We don't know yet, but we know that this is not going away. It's gonna stay. It's gonna stay forever, and it's gonna disrupt industries from today on forward, where many people will not do their jobs anymore as they do it today. And I think that's where many get like very very scared about it. Like, oh fuck, what does that mean? Am I out of a job tomorrow? Um, so with that kind of like new world that really accelerated over the last 12 months, and then all that also happened now in my life, was quite some information, uh, yeah, overload, I would say also. And it's just, at some point it's very tiring, right? Like, I mean, you're consistently confronted with information. You have to absorb, you have to, you know, kind of process it and do something with that. And then also kind of like trying to figure out like, okay, but what now? What is the next step? And this is where I am super grateful to have my girlfriend. She is really my right hand. I mean, she does a lot of things that I am completely incapable of doing. And holding my back in terms of like giving me the space I need to do the things that we have to do right now in order to just like create the life we also want for our son, but then also for ourselves, and taking care of the little one, and managing the entire like me getting onboarded in Brazil, and all the bureaucracy there, and building this apartment here. That was a fucking job. I mean, that all was on her shoulders, and I had to do the other things that were quite pressing or quite intense. So, long story short, you know, I I really like realized in these 12 months that my life, like how life can be very, you know, very something you don't know what's really going to happen tomorrow, and you have to be prepared in a way that you like the adaptability. I think that's the right word I'm looking for. Like the adaptability as a human being today is your number one advantage. And that's also what I realized for myself. Like if you cannot adapt quickly and actually embrace the change that comes with a lot of things nowadays, then you're gonna be so screwed, because everyone else that gets it will just take your position or take your job or take the ideas what that you had, and actually do something with them. And I think we live in a very fast paced world. We live in a world of accelerating technologies, and it's not going to go away. It's not going to go away, and no matter how much you hate that, and no matter how much you want that not to be the case, and you want to go back to the 90s and Walkmans, and the Game Boys, and I mean, fuck man, that's nostalgia. I love that stuff, like, but it's just not where we are, right? This is not the here and now. And as spiritual as that might sound, you, and if I say you, I'm just talking to myself here, but you, you need to be adaptive. That's what matters, and that's what I really learned with this journey, basically, to move to Brazil and to have a complete new life with a new baby, newborn, that is super exhausting, but also incredibly rewarding. Like I never thought that it would be that rewarding, to be honest. Like it's like having this little guy, like smiling at me and holding my finger, and even though he's like obviously crying, and has his needs, and is completely helpless, and needs full-time attention, it still gives me now, as a 33-year-old guy, something that really pushes me even more and gives me a sense of what life actually is. And I know this might not apply to everyone out there, but for me, that really, as the free spirit I was, as someone that really had no constant in life. Like I was just living from one day to the other. I was figuring out shit here, and then I kind of like got bored and did something else, and that's fun for a while. But if you kind of like, I think, reach the 30s and then kind of like slowly approach the mid 30s, you kind of also understand that this is not something you might also want forever. You want some stability. Even though I will never settle for like mediocrity, if you will. Like I will never like fucking sit around and do nothing and like have like, I've seen it all and I don't care what's gonna come next. No, I'm too curious uh, about everything, which can also be like a problem because then your focus shifts all the time. So anyway, that is extremely, again, rewarding now for me to understand that and to see like, okay, you got a son now, so you need to also have that as the main priority in your life, and also understand that if you screw this up, it's not just you anymore. You got a family now that that kind of like relies on you, and that's a good kick in my ass. I gotta say that, like, it's a good kick in my ass, and it's still something I'm learning every day. It's nothing that I just kind of like, you know, took on and then be like, yeah, I mean, it's, of course, this is like something, that I have to do now in this kind of way. No, I'm still learning a lot. Like this is a never ending journey. But yeah, I'm grateful for kind of like this decision that whoever was in charge of that decision gave to me. Call it the universe, call it God, whatever. It's a good one for going forward. And with that, I think also now, no matter how I look at things, I know there will always be some sort of opportunity in chaos. And yeah, this is where I am. I live in Brazil now. I mean, it's gorgeous. Of course, it has its ups and downs, and it's not really like, the same as obviously Europe and where I come from, Switzerland. I mean, everything in Switzerland is perfectly beautiful in terms of like infrastructure, and it works. But it has also its negative, pillars, I would say. And here you have the same, you have your positives and negatives. And it really is a place, though, for me to live, obviously close to the sea, to live in a world where people are more smiling than not smiling. I think that makes a huge difference in my world. Um, there's a lot of sunshine. The food is great. Uh, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to appreciate here. And how I now am moving forward, I mean, I don't know, but I will say that I definitely want to be in a position again where I have more creative liberty, if you will, and just create again, because I know I'm good in what I do in this whole like attention economy, and like showing people also the way how they can kind of like approach that in their own ways. I've seen this now again with the job I have now. Like I'm managing a little team, and I consult the founders, and help them with their brandings and their social medias. And this is all like where I'm like, okay, I do understand what I'm saying. Like the things I'm sharing are not completely useless. They actually move the needle. So this is what I want to bring back to, be it Instagram or whatever platform, that I feel like that is actually a platform I enjoy also talking about this kind of stuff. I must say I probably will not go back to like this creator coach kind of environment where I recruit other creators to then do the same thing that other created. Like I don't know. I have been like observing this now from the outside quite a bit, and I've just kind of like noticed that it all is a little bit of a bubble. It all feels a little bit like a replica after replica, and I don't know how long this kind of like, I don't want to call it a scheme because I kind of understand why it works, and I also think it's great, you know, if it works for the people that actually, you know, hustle that one. But yeah, it's become a bit more clear to me who are the real artists slash creators out there with a real brand, and who are kind of just like copying each other. And I think that's something that really matters to me. It's also, it really goes back to what is my identity, and why, like what is the intent? Why am I doing this, right? Like why am I going to coach these people? Is it really like, why am I creating all these funnels? You know, because one like, and again, I keep coming back to that, and I think I've always been kind of like not 100% in peace with that whole ecosystem. But like, there's like one perspective where, you know, you could say that there's a lot of salesmen who understand how sales work, and that's where they basically just kind of like, I would say like kind of like extracting value than actually really giving value. And then there is actually the ones that have such a huge impression in terms of brand and how they show up and the energy with that comes with that. And then it's not always this hard selling energy. It's more like this philosophy of, you know, just showing up because they fucking love it and they are really good in their craft. And then once in a while, they come out with like a really nice product, a really good service, like an opportunity for also the people that are following and the community. And then it just naturally gets sold out of fucking, you know, whatever, because there is a huge demand, and it's not this kind of like, please buy my course or whatever. Like, but yeah, this is a whole different topic, and I think I'm just kind of like figuring that one out right now for myself. Like, what is the direction there if I do this again full time, and if I would potentially kind of like go back into that seat and create, yeah, consistently again. And that really goes back to intent. So cool. That was a ramble. I don't know. I just wanted to kind of like put something out again for myself, but also, you know, for my future self, maybe to like watch this and be like, cool, that was me 10 years ago. More like a documenting, yeah, documentary, like a piece um, of that documentary. And yeah, anyway, I hope you are doing great on yeah, with whatever you're doing, and it's I'm always happy to obviously connect with the ones that are still around, and yeah, looking forward to yeah, to step up again with some content and see where that goes. With that being said, I'm gonna grab some food now, and then yeah, slowly and surely gonna prepare for that game night tonight here, and then we call it a day. I will see you in another video slash piece of content slash whatever. I don't know yet. See ya. Ciao, ciao.